Welcome to the Live Well for Longer podcast, the podcast for people who want to learn the art and science of healthy aging and longevity. Join me, Sarah Little, a wellbeing science specialist and positive psychology practitioner, as I share the psychology and behaviors associated with longevity and quality of life. Let's begin. Sharon Salzberg, a leading mindfulness teacher and author, informs us that awe is the absence of self-preoccupation. Awe is the absence of self-preoccupation. Experiencing awe quiets our inner critic and is a soothing balm for a restless mind. In this episode of the Live Well for Longer podcast, we will discuss the power of awe, and I will give you 6 sources you can tap into today to experience more awe in your daily life. You know, those moments where you feel totally absorbed, amazed at what you are looking at, hearing, sensing, smelling. Those moments where you feel like you are totally absorbed and amazed are what positive psychology practitioners call awe experiences. They're the ones that make you forget all about yourself and make you feel like you're connected to something bigger. Time will often stop when we are experiencing awe, and we'll often feel the sense of being more open, expanded, and vast. Now, research informs us that awe is good for our health. It helps us to relax our nervous system, and it helps to release oxytocin, the love hormone that makes us feel trusted and connected. Now, awe can be found in many, many different things. When you're experiencing awe, you have that feeling as if you are here experiencing something beautiful, but you're also not here. Your identity is not here. It's bigger than who you are. Now, I just love this concept of awe. I love the health benefits of it. And I've been practicing awe for the last few years and learning and studying and researching awe. And I think awe is probably one of the most underutilized positive emotions. It would be awe and savoring. Now, how do we add more awe into our life? Because I get the sense that awe for many people is a little bit elusive, like it's a romantic and distant lover that you want to see, but they've got an air of I'm not getting the word. They've got an air of mystery. That was the word. They have an air of mystery around them. You know, it's one thing to savor a delicious coffee. It's another thing altogether to count your blessings, to have gratitude. But awe, how do we actually experience awe? How do we cultivate this positive emotion? Now, I'm going to share with you today 6 sources that do offer the experience of awe. The first one is nature. I find that nature is one of the best ways to have awe experiences. When you spend time outdoors, watching a sunset or sunrise, when you are observing flowers that are blooming or dying, or simply observing the seasons come and go. These are all experiences where you can cultivate awe. Right now, it's raining here in Australia, in my little town called Braidwood, and we haven't had rain for some time. The clouds are, well, it's mostly cloudy, to be honest. There's no clouds. It's just a dense white wash in the sky. And I was looking out the window earlier, just gazing at the beauty of the rain and just thinking how gorgeous it is to have all this rain fall on my garden, and everything looks so lush and crisp and bursting with vitality because it is summer here in Australia. And well, spring actually. I think it's technically spring. Maybe we're still in spring. No, it's summer. Anyway, regardless, everything just looked beautiful, just stunning. And I just found myself cultivating this sense of awe. And I find in nature, it's one of the easiest ways to cultivate the positive emotion of awe. Next, you might find yourself cultivating awe when you are looking at beautiful artwork or visual design or architecture. Just recently, I have been immersing myself in visual design as I am taking a little writer's hiatus or writer's retreat, reset, because I've been writing for 20 years, and not that my well is drying up, but I just need a little time from words. And so I have been immersing myself in visual design, and I have been feeling this awe-inspiring feeling as I look at these gorgeous homes. Particularly, I love the Hampton style aesthetic. And every time I find a Hampton style living room, I just fall in love. There's something about it that takes my breath away. Now, I encourage you to find things that take your breath away too. And maybe visual design is one of those things. Or maybe if you haven't had much exposure to awe, maybe you don't know. So say yes to any one of these or multiple of these items that I'm sharing with you that help to induce that state of awe. Say yes. And we'll be talking a little bit about how to actively engage with awe on that level of being really intentional about it. We'll be talking about that shortly. Now, the third way you can experience awe is through inspirational stories. So you might seek out inspirational stories through the news or literature, maybe film, art, music, poetry, maybe a really good memoir. But inspirational stories have the power to move us. They have the power to open us up to something bigger. And I think this is a wonderful way that we can cultivate awe. The fourth way we can cultivate awe is through spirituality, mystical experiences, religion. I know from my own experience that I used to practice this a lot in the past. It's not something I regularly practice today, but it's one of those experiences that when you do practice it, you can feel expanded, you feel alive. I used to find my heart was so full when I engaged in spirituality and religion from an awe perspective. Now, with these things, it might take a little bit of practice to find what gives you awe, but I encourage you to give them a try. So don't just rule them out because maybe they sound wishy-washy or difficult, or maybe you've never experienced it in the past. Just be open. Next, another way we can experience awe, and I quite frequently experience awe in this manner, is when we are talking to people who move us. And on that note, I will say when we are engaged in watching people that move us. So people that move us, it might be because their aesthetic, it might be that their aesthetic is visually pleasing, they have great taste or style. It might be that the conversation we engage in with them is intellectually opening and challenging. It moves us to see things differently. Or it could be that they have a kind or beautiful heart. And we just feel very attracted to this essence that is often unnameable, and it moves us into experiencing awe with them. So these are, how many have we done? 5, and we have one more. So the last one is actually, this one is a positive psychology intervention called an awe walk. I used to do this actually 2 years ago. Now, the awe walk is where you go out into nature, preferably, or you go out into your neighborhood and you notice your surroundings. You pay astute attention to what you're observing. Use your senses. What are you smelling? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Often, when we get immersed in something like this, we do experience awe. And chances are there's these pockets in your environment, in your neighborhood, that you have never experienced or really seen. Now, I know from experience that I have been in my neighborhood now for 6 years, and there's still pockets in my neighborhood where I think, oh my goodness, I've never seen that beautiful rose before. The color is just breathtaking. Or I've never noticed that house before. How does that live only 1 block from mine? And I love all walks because you don't have to go too far from home. They don't take a lot of effort, and you don't have to wait until it's sunrise or sunset or you have something in front of you. You can cultivate the art of awe right there and right then. Now, you may find on your awe walk you want to capture the moment, and this is wonderful as well. You can bring along your phone, but please don't go on it. And when you find something that totally blows your mind and you just feel swept away, take a photo of it. And that photo will be an awe photo that you can look at and savor when you get back or a month from now. And that past reminiscence on the photo, on that time of awe, of experiencing awe, is going to induce more positive emotion. So awe walks are wonderful. Take your phone with you, take an awe photo. If you don't feel like taking your phone with you, that's completely fine too. You don't always have to. Sometimes it's better to just experience the awe. But in order to experience awe, you have to slow down. I think we live in this consumerist culture where it's very much fast paced, go, 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 and we lose attention to a lot of things, not only in our environment, but also of the things that deeply, truly matter to us. One of my aims or intentions next year is to really settle into things that are deeply meaningful for me. And that does involve slowing down. Like experiencing awe, we need to slow down in order to pay attention. It's very hard to pay attention when we are rushing from one thing to another, not having any breaks in between, not giving us any leeway with our time. As an example, this morning I drove to Bungendore because I was meeting with my stylist, who I've recently hired to help me with just upping my clothing a little bit because I want to dress in a way that feels really aligned with who I am and who I'm becoming. And and I was so looking forward to this appointment, but I also had lots of other things on in the morning too. But I wanted to make the entire experience, not only of meeting her, to be one of, of leisurely enjoyment, but of driving there, of getting ready, of coming back, to just make the whole thing really pleasant and easy. And this is definitely my intention for next year, to make my whole year really pleasant and easy. And so I did cultivate a lot more time. I allowed an extra 20 minutes each way just to allow for changes, maybe traffic, things like putting on my hand cream if I forgot it, or needing to use the restroom if I needed to. Then these little things, though, when we are racing from one thing to another, we don't actually give ourselves the time or the permission to do these little things that add up. And so often it's the case with positive emotions, such as experiencing awe. One of the biggest blocks that you probably face is having time. Now, this is a whole other subject, is crafting out time, crafting out your day, your month, your year in a way that suits you and what you're trying to achieve. But I want you just to be very mindful of how you're using your time as you progress, because it is the end of 2023 and 2024 is emerging, fast approaching. Just be mindful of how you're living your life and utilizing your time, because it's very hard to be happy and to be well if we are rushed, if we are stressed, and if we are chronically busy and on this treadmill. So slow down, pay attention, and focus on the beauty that is all around you. Now, why does awe matter? Why does it matter for our health? As I said earlier, awe is one of those underutilized positive emotions. For some reason, gratitude is on a pedestal, whereas awe is one of those emotions I think people easily overlook. And for me, I would much rather feel awe than feel gratitude. I am not a big gratitude fan myself. Now, when we get awestruck, it's not just a positive feeling that we are experiencing, but it's actually doing some fascinating things to our brain. So, recent research reveals that when we experience awe, it goes beyond a momentary emotion. It turns out that awe can broaden and build our thinking. It can make us think in new directions, in new dimensions. It can make us think more creatively. And awe actually switches off the default mode network in our brains. So one of the things that it does is that it turns off our default mode network. So the network where we're processing everything from a me-centered perspective. So it's turning our identity off, this me, the self in the world, and it's actually activating a larger perspective. It allows our minds to step beyond the limit of who we are into the world around us. So the feeling of awe is not just changing our mind, it's actually rewiring us to think bigger than ourselves. So it allows us to be more connected with the world around us. It also allows us to be more generous. Awe is a brain booster, so it's also activating those feel-good neurons, which we'll talk about shortly. So it's doing all these things, and all we have to do is experience awe. Very, very simple and very effortless, I think. I think awe is one of those effortless emotions. Now, awe is one of Barbara Fredrickson's top 10 positive emotions, which is, I think, really quite fascinating. Barbara Fredrickson, she is like one of the holy godmothers of positive psychology. And for her to deem awe one of the top 10 positive emotions, I think that says something. Now, awe also sparks the vagal nerves, so the group of neurons in the spinal cord that oversee different bodily functions. This, in turn, slows down our heart rate, eases our digestion, and enhances our breathing. Scans from before and right after an experience of awe show a significant change in the function of serotonin and dopamine. Awe is good for your health. It boosts your mood. It improves your health. And I think it's one of the things we should all be experiencing, to be honest. It's one of those emotions that we should all aim to look out for, to spot. So, or can improve our lifespan by reducing stress, by improving our immune system. It increases our pro-social behavior, so connecting with others and our environment, particularly the natural world. Awe is an emotion that I would like to ask you to start spotting. Now, I say start spotting because it's like our brain, it's not like our brain is a flashlight because we're taking in information from multiple sources. But when you ask your brain to spot something, it's like it turns on the flashlight. And when you turn on a flashlight, what happens is a certain area lights up and the other areas grow darker. And so when you turn on a flashlight, there's only a part of what you can see within that light. And everything else outside it is a lot harder to see. So I invite you to turn on the flashlight with positive emotions, particularly with awe, and to review and think about what are some ways that you can invite awe into your life. And just really reflect on this and to see how you can integrate awe. Is there one or two of the 6 sources that we've spoken about that you can utilize in the coming weeks or the coming months? Can you take an awe walk, or can you engage in visual design or beauty? All right, so that brings us to the end of this podcast episode. I do hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please let me know by leaving a review and subscribing. Now, if you are interested, we would love for you to join the Positive Aging Institute's new online retreat, where we are going to be immersing in a 4-week online retreat to equip you with positive psychology's latest healthy living practices. Our program combines expert guidance with positive psychology exercises, ensuring you live longer and better every day. Inside the Positive Aging Retreat, you'll have access to curated teachings on the latest positive psychology science, as well as exercises to help you live longer. And lastly, we are going to be drawing everything together in a masterclass where we discuss hope theory, and you'll be crafting your own hope map. I hope you can join us in the Positive Aging Retreat. If you do feel called, please come over to positiveaginginstitute.com/retreat, and we would love to have you join us. Okay, friends, well, I'm wishing you a kinetic and a connected week. As we conclude this Live Well for Longer podcast episode, we sincerely appreciate your presence on this journey. Your support fuels our mission, so remember to subscribe and leave your thoughts. And if you'd like to download a Positive Aging Manifesto with 7 traits to age healthy and happy, then visit positiveaginginstitute.com/manifesto. Until next time, live a connected and kinetic life.